Story 1. I 29F had a nightmare relationship with an older man, 45M in college. Now I'm worried what to do when I run into him again. Original post August 10th, 2016. When I was 21, I dated a guy who was too old for me. Kevin was 37, an older student in my university program. I'd just gotten out of a bad relationship and thought Kevin was great. Of course, it was red flags all over the place, but I was so naive back then that stupid me didn't question this. Kevin and I dated for 6 months. He quickly told me that he loved me and asked me, pretty aggressively, to move to his home city to be with him after graduation. Great, right? Still ignoring the red flags. Except in my last semester, I was diagnosed with cancer, and my world kind of fell apart after that. The day I got my diagnosis, Kevin made out with another woman at a party in front of me, and I left the party in tears. He broke up with me that night by email saying that we weren't a good fit anymore because of my impending medical emergency. That he was only with me because he took pity on me after the end of my previous abusive relationship. And by the way, all our friends thought I was annoying and no one liked me. I felt punched in the gut. My memories of that week are a blur. I had to drop out in the middle of the semester and get a medical leave of absence with the university. In the meantime, Kevin would follow me around campus demanding to know why I wouldn't talk to him and that I forgive him. I remember looking at him like he was insane. "So you're apologizing for what you did?" I asked. "Of course not. I didn't do anything wrong," he answered. "But it's not fair that you're angry at me like this." I told him to go to hell and just focused on getting my paperwork squared away and moving back home for what became a lot of chemo. Honestly, this period of my life was a fucking nightmare, and I don't like thinking about it. I became suicidal and was diagnosed with depression, so I was seeing a psychiatrist while getting chemo. I lost most of my friends because I guess people didn't know how to deal with my illness. A few stuck by me, and those people are not only still my friends today, but now I even work with some of them. In the months after I left school, Kevin would badger me over text saying he didn't know what happened between us, and demanding again that I forgive him. I was in the middle of more chemo, so I told him I forgave him, just so he'd leave me alone. As soon as I forgave him, he vanished and I never heard from him again. I blocked him on Facebook just to be sure he couldn't slink back. Later that year, between chemo, I run into this strange woman at a university event off campus. I've never met her before. Have no idea who she is. A bunch of students and alumni are having dinner together, and she's talking about her fiancé. Guess who it is? Kevin, of course. I'm confused because a few months of dating is a short time to know someone before you get engaged. But what do I know, since Kevin was very fast in telling me he loved me and asking me to move in with him? But when I ask how long they've been together, she says something crazy like 3 years. At this point, I'm in total shock and realize Kevin was having an affair with me. That our whole time together was a lie. I had no idea. I left in a daze and cried in the parking lot. In hindsight, I should have warned this woman, but at the time I was in shock, sick, not interested in starting drama at a table full of strangers, and I was exhausted. I thought later of finding her on Facebook, but I didn't know her name, and I worried telling her would start another round of harassment from Kevin, so I dropped it. So the good news is I'm obviously still here and happily in remission. 2 years after leaving school, I finally felt human again and went back to finish my degree. By then I was doing really good. Made new friends, finished therapy, started my career. Life is totally different now. I'm well known in my field and have been invited back to my university as a guest of honor. My professors want me to speak to the students, and I'll have a chance to network with other visiting alumni who are a big deal in my industry. It's an amazing opportunity and I was looking forward to it. Only problem is I saw Kevin's on the guest list, and so is a woman sharing his last name who I assume is his now wife. When I saw it, my heart sank. The guest list is small, maybe 50 alumni, so we're bound to run into each other. I can't not go because this event is important and I already promised I'd be there. Plus, I don't want to avoid doing things out of fear of running into this asshole from my past. How do I handle running into Kevin again? Do I treat him like a stranger? What if he tries hugging me like we're old friends? It's something he would do. I also have no clue if I should say something to his wife. I don't want to open this can of worms from my past. I'm losing sleep over this and don't know what to do. Teal.dar. Got cheated on by an older guy in college. He broke up with me over email and then harassed me for months. I later found out he was dating someone else while we were together. I may run into him soon. How do I handle this? Relevant comment? In the midst of summer, I'd treat him like a stranger. If he acknowledges you, keep a blank, empty smile like you would give a total stranger who seems to think they know you. When he reminds you who he is, "Oh gosh, I didn't even recognize you. It's been so long." And then if he tries to initiate any conversation beyond that, you shut him down. "Sorry, I really don't have time to talk," as you turn and walk away. If he tries to initiate physical contact, you block it and say firmly, "No." Do your best to keep other people around you at all times. Have a witness in case anything happens. But otherwise, pretend that he doesn't even exist. Either he was going through a very awkward time when you dated, and he is a better person now, or he's still as batshit crazy as ever. If he's better, he'll appreciate being treated like a stranger, because he'll also be uncomfortable. If he's still crazy, you lower the risk of inviting, in his crazy brain, more contact from him. Plus, I think it's nice to give people like this a little bit of "our relationship had so little impact on me that I have to be reminded of your existence." OP. If he's still crazy, you lower the risk of inviting, in his crazy brain, more contact from him. Good point. I blocked him on FB long ago, but just to make sure I blocked his email address just now, I deleted his number long ago, so I can't block it as I don't even remember it anymore. Youngster. You don't give him any attention, and you certainly don't approach the girlfriend, although you would like to share a few things. OP. The idea of approaching his wife gives me hives. The last thing I want to do is open this Pandora's box. I feel bad for her, though. Update February 6th, 2017, 6 months later. Well, thanks for your feedback, guys. Wanted to give you an update. So something I failed to mention in my last post is that my mom used to teach at my alma mater before she recently retired. She didn't know about my brief relationship with Kevin years ago. After writing my post, I decided to share with her everything that happened. Mom immediately got this weird look on her face and said she knew exactly who I was talking about because she used to teach in my department. She said, "I don't think Kevin will be a problem for you." When I asked why, she said, "Trust me, you'll see. That guy is kind of a loser." So I went to the event, and it was amazing. I took some of the advice here and brought a girlfriend so I would never be alone in case Kevin tried to pull something. I met a bunch of alumni and ran into a couple people who I lost touch with when I got sick. Everybody were thrilled to hear how well I'm doing, and my speech got an ovation when I was done. Anyway, Kevin showed up with his wife. I don't know how to say this without sounding mean, but he's gotten fat and is going bald. I was surprised at how old he looked until someone told me he's almost 50 now, which means he lied to me when we were dating and said he was younger than he really was. Also, I heard from old classmates that Kevin is still studying for his degree, plus working nights as a security guard now. Kevin was the only person at the event who avoided me, like it was obvious. I thought he was going to avoid me all night until I accidentally found myself alone for 30 seconds, which is when he nervously approached me to congratulate me. I smiled, said thanks, and kept moving. He tried cracking a dumb joke to me later, but I just ignored him, which seemed to frustrate him. Overall, I just spent the night focused on the people around me and forgot he existed. Interestingly, he managed to repeatedly piss off a bunch of people, including his wife and one of the deans, throughout the night with stupid comments. It got so bad that people started a running joke about what an insensitive moron Kevin was. I'm so glad I went and didn't allow one jerk from my past to make me hide. I had a great time and was surprised at how unafraid I felt when I saw Kevin again. The memories from that time of my life were so traumatic, but now he's just some jackass I once knew. I'm not sure now WTF I ever saw in him or why I was ever scared of him. Oh, and by the way, I recently started a great new job that came with a big raise. which means I'll have my student loans paid off this year. Life is good. Thanks for your help, Reddit. Dodger ran into asshole X and realized he can't hurt me. Had a fun time meeting people and ignoring him. Edit. Oh, the comments got locked fast. 2 things I wanted to add. An acquaintance recently told me that apparently Kevin and his now wife were in an open relationship for a long time, including while he and I were together, and that she closed the relationship again a few years ago because she got annoyed. I can only imagine the shenanigans. I feel better knowing he didn't cheat on her, even though he still cheated on me. And of course he didn't tell me about his wife at all. Whatever. My favorite part of the evening, I blocked Kevin on Facebook years ago, so he's had no updates whatsoever on my life, including the fact that I go by my birth name now. In college, everybody called me by a nickname, but no one's used it now in years. So all night he kept calling me by this super old nickname. People kept looking at him like he was crazy and asking, "Why are you calling her that?" And Kevin got super frustrated because he realized everybody was in on some joke that he didn't understand. No one would clue him in, I guess. Relevant comment? Ashley Boom. Oh, this update gives me life. I'm so happy to hear of your success. Congratulations and well done. So glad you are able to finally move on from this idiot. You are clearly 2 very different people. OP. It's so obvious now that the only reason we were even together was because I was young and naive. Now that I'm almost 30, he doesn't make any sense to me. It's so weird and creepy. Story 2. Ada for telling a woman where she can and can't give birth? Original post. December 14th, 2024. This is one of the stranger things that's ever happened to me. To set the scene, I, 26, bought the house I'm living in 2019 from this lovely older couple. I thought, as I'm sure anyone who has been in this situation might think, that the signing was going to be the last time I ever say them, or had anything to do with their family. I was wrong. Yesterday I got a knock on my door. I opened it to find a young couple, probably my age, maybe a bit younger. The woman was pregnant and looked like she was going to pop any day. I asked who they were and if I could help them. The woman replied that this home used to belong to her parents and that she was born in this house. I asked again what it was that they wanted, since that didn't really tell me if they needed anything from me. She told me that her mother had also been born here, in the upstairs bedroom. For context, this is now my bedroom. She then asked if I wouldn't mind letting her bring the stuff that was needed to give birth in the same spot as she and her mother were both born in. I said no, keeping in mind that A, this isn't her or her parents' house anymore, and B, that the bedroom in question is my bedroom. Now, I thought that this was as normal as a response as was possible given the strange question. But when I was telling my friends about this afternoon, one of the girls in the friend group said that it was pretty cruel of me to tell a pregnant woman where she can and can't give birth. I didn't think that what I had said was all that strange, considering I had never met the couple before and I don't exactly want a strange woman giving birth where I sleep. But my friend insists that I could have come to some sort of arrangement, so here I am asking yous guys. Eta? Edit. So I would just like to add, my friend isn't an idiot. When we were having this conversation, we were, let's say, having a fun time with fun substances. When I asked her about it today, she genuinely thought she'd imagined the conversation. Obviously, she thinks it's a horrible idea for liability and health reasons, aside from it being weird. And for those concerned that she's getting high as a nurse, she's off for the next 2 weeks. She's flying home for the holidays. So we were having a little get-together for those of us who are leaving for home. And for those saying that I made this up, I wish I had an imagination that good. I'd start writing if I did. I couldn't have predicted or come up with something like this in 100 years. Edit 2. I got an email back from the previous owners. I managed to get their contact info from the realtor who sold the house. It turns out, yes, they have a daughter, yes. Apparently she is actually pregnant, and they have cut her off for being a bit on the crazy side. So yeah, I asked for anything that might be helpful for getting any kind of protection order for my house, but the cops have said that, unless she actually tries anything, there isn't anything they can do. So, I guess on Monday I get to talk to someone in my county's court system to deal with this. ETA has no consensus spot. OP was NTA. Relevant comment? Commenter 1, was your friend high and the pregnant woman is delusional? NTA, OP, to be somewhat fair, my friend was somewhat high. But she brought up the point of maybe the woman wanting a safe, familiar environment. But what with the renovations I've done, it's probably not super familiar anymore. The only reason I am posting here is because said friend is the only one of us who has any regular interactions with pregnant people. She's a nurse at a nearby hospital, so maybe she had insight I didn't. Commented 2, NTA, if something were to go wrong, they could sue you. Even if everything went perfectly, what if they don't leave? Then it's Ada for trying to kick out a couple and their newborn baby. And then they manage to stay long enough to have rights, and you have to take it to court to try and get them out. These people have an emotional connection to that house. Don't give them permission to stay there. OP needs to get cameras for her house. OP. I already have cameras, and due to other events in the neighborhood recently, I have alarms on both. Update January 10th, 2025, 3.5 weeks later. Well, I didn't think I'd be updating, but this got crazy. A couple of things before I get into it. Some friend shave shown me that the post has indeed broke Reddit containment and pointed a few things out to me, so I'm going to set a few things straight. Most other websites assume I'm a woman. I am NB, and will not elaborate further on that point. Not being snippy about it, but I just wanted to set the record straight. LOL on that point. Second thing, some people have assumed this was fake-based, and that I probably made up the scenario because they think I think it's hot. No, I don't. I think the entire scenario is creepy and off-putting. And lastly, yes, I know that 21 is pretty young to be buying a house, and made the whole thing seem fake. I live in the Midwest, which is pretty cheap to begin with. It's not a huge house, and I got a small claim after an incident at work, so I used the money from that for my future. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say. I know some people will still assume I've made the whole thing up or used ChatGPT to make it. But that said, if you don't think this is real, just move on with your day. I truly wish it wasn't real. Last note, there were a couple of people asking why I got the cops involved with the original incident, and I only got them involved when the original homeowners told me that the woman was a bit on the loose screw side of things. So I did that because when you are told that the person who came to your door might have been a bit unhinged, you take that step for your own peace of mind. Anyway, last week Friday at about 1:30, I get a knock, heavy pounding at my door. I go and answer, wondering just who the hell would be visiting me in the middle of the night, when I see a familiar face at the door. It's the pregnant woman, with her husband/boyfriend/partner, I don't know what, and two women who I assume are midwives. From what I gather, the woman went into labor earlier that day, and is hoping I changed my mind. I haven't and asked them all to leave. The woman starts having either a breakdown or a contraction or something, because she just starts screaming on my driveway. One of the other women in the group explains to me that they drove 4 hours to get here, and if I wouldn't mind letting them set up. She tells me that the woman had told them that she had arranged for the house and that she was nearly ready to push. From what I understood, the woman had lied to her midwife about me agreeing to this, and had essentially tried to trick her into forcing me into letting this happen in my house. I tell her a firm no, and that if needed there's a hospital only 5 minutes away from where I live, the same hospital my friend works at from my original post. No, she wasn't there, she was on vacation at the time, and ask them all to leave. The woman starts screaming and crying about how I'm ruining this for her. But between me closing and locking the door, her partner and her midwives, she gets back into their van and drive off. I don't know if this was a guilt trip, or if they were delusional or what, but here's the thing about me. I am an absolute pushover. I probably would have just pretended to be asleep and not even opened the door and waited them out. But here's the thing. I had a different friend, her wife, and their highly autistic child spending the night on their way back home after the holidays. I'm cheaper than a hotel, LOL. All the noise and commotion, plus the unexpected midnight visitor, severely triggered the kid, and it took nearly 2 hours to calm her back down enough to get her to sleep. She's a good kid, and means the world to my friends, so having someone else who would have been severely affected by this, I managed to find a bit of my spine, which is why I wound up opening up the door to ask them to leave. Honestly, I shouldn't have even opened the door and just called the cops first thing. But the good news is that after a couple of minutes talking to the midwife, she agreed to take the whole show elsewhere. After they all left, I did call the police on the non-emergency line and update them on what was going on, and gave them the footage of the previous incident and the latest video I have the incident. I'm really hoping that now she's given birth, that she'll leave me alone. Either way, in addition to my Ring camera, I've asked my neighbor to keep an eye out and call me if anything happens while I'm at work. I also got deadbolts to install for all of my exterior doors. I changed the locks when I bought the house, which honestly seemed to have been a good idea, but this is just to make me feel a bit better about the whole thing. Top comments. Commenter 1, wow, you didn't even offer her to record it and cut the umbilical cord. Insane. Commenter 2, I was envisioning them rejected and locked out of the house, setting up the inflatable birthing pool on the front lawn using water from the garden hose, screaming all night and killing the grass. Commenter 3, $5 says crazy daughter will be back asking for her child to spend time in her childhood home. Commenter 4, nothing says birth plan like ambushing a homeowner in the dead of night with a DIY delivery squad. Clearly, you were just one inflatable pool away from becoming the Midwest's most reluctant birthing center. Honestly, the nerve of you to ruin her magical experience by, wanting to not host a surprise labor party in your living room. Next time, you should really think ahead and install a no deliveries, human or otherwise, sign on your front porch. How dare you value your sleep, your friend's peace, and your general sanity over her Pinterest-worthy home birth fantasy? Story 3. Aita for taking things too far when faced with mansplaining. Original post September 13th, 2020. I, 25F, and my boyfriend, 23M, were having a discussions about various current events, and he mentioned that all kids who get into acting or the entertainment industry end up on drugs or fucked up from the experience. I worked pre-corona at a children's talent agency, where I would interview kids who wanted to be in the industry and continued working with them and their families if they started booking work. While I won't deny that many of the Hollywood kids end up with issues, that's far from the reality of most child talent. The majority of work is in commercials and advertisements and background work, which are relatively harmless. I've had kids who went on to be in commercials for big-name products and lines like Nike, JCPenney, etc. All of those kids are very excited and happy about the opportunity, and the additional income often helps their families a lot. I do want to add that I have more experience outside of this, including with adults who worked as child actors in their youth, but character limit. So I brought this up to him, as he knows my experience. I explained to him how the creative outlet was oftentimes the brightest spot in these kids' lives, and how many of them do small commercial work or theater productions, and they're very happy experiences for the kids. But he wouldn't have it. He kept doubling down, throwing out wild assertions. He literally claimed 90% of all child actors become drug addicts like, show me the stats, bro. He claimed most child actors went on to Hollywood and were messed up there. He kept going on and on. Eventually, in frustration, I told him he was mansplaining an industry he knew nothing about to someone who had interviewed hundreds of kids and their families and worked with them in the industry. Nothing I said made any difference. So I decided to try and show him through comparisons. I brought up how sports teams often brought in a lot of money to school, so kids were often worked hard and pressured to succeed in sports. There were also many injuries, and many sports players went on to commit acts of domestic violence. Should we shut down sports? Politicians do some horrible things? Should we shut down debate club? Scientists have done some terrible experiments. No more science Olympiad because that's bad for kids. He ended up standing up and saying, "You're being a dick, so I'm just going to go home." To which I replied, "Well, I sincerely hope this doesn't make you think all girls are dicks." He obviously thinks I was being a huge asshole, but I was so aggravated by the mansplaining and how little he seemed to value my lived experience, I felt like this was my only options, besides just saying I was wrong to make him feel better. Am I the asshole? ETA. 4 hours since he left my apartment and he has not texted or sent any follow-up. He mad. Verdict. Not the asshole. Relevant comment. Vominatrix. NTA. He was making shit up about an industry you are personally familiar with, and then wouldn't accept that he was wrong. That's mansplaining if I've ever heard it. You weren't being a dick, you were being right, and he didn't want to admit he had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. OP. That's what I thought, but he has me questioning if I was taking things too far or if I should just have stopped and agreed to disagree. I just didn't feel like I could agree to disagree when I knew he was wrong. Vominatrix arguments like that are so unsatisfying. I hate when people stick to their guns when all their guns do is misfire. OP. Right. He even admitted at one point he was just talking out of his ass and was like, "But isn't that what everyone does?" I'm like, "No. If you don't know what you're talking about, then say nothing LOL. Skitten. NTA, he doesn't respect you, and he is too full of his own ego to admit when he's wrong, both bad signs and both things that tend to lead to asshole behavior." Oop. This makes me sad because I really did think he respected me a lot. Laking soft metal. BMG. You're so obviously TA for trying to correct a man, especially when he hasn't worked in an industry but can explain it to someone who actually has. Per S. NTA. OP. When I accused him of mansplaining, he said, "How? That's not what's happening at all." And I was like, I'm glad other PPL see it that way, 'cause I was starting to think I was crazy. Zook. No, explaining a woman's field to her is where the term mansplaining was coined. It was a pompous blowhard explaining a woman's own book to her. Update, as will probably come to no surprise to most of you who participated in the thread, I broke up with him. As I still hadn't heard from him that night, I sent him a message letting him know that I didn't think we were compatible and that some of the tactics he had been using in arguments were very hurtful and disrespectful. He took it well at first, but when I sent him the Reddit post, he denounced it and basically said, "You expect me to take what a bunch of people on the internet say seriously?" He tried to call me manipulative and controlling, but after being asked to provide examples, his argument had about as much weight as the one in the original post. He gave no evidence and then said, "I'm not going to argue with you about this," to which I replied, "Right, because you're wrong." He told me no one likes anyone who's always right, and I think that was really the problem all along. The thing is, if you don't speak on things without having knowledge about them, then you'll be the one who's always right. Funny how that works. There was some drama over returning possessions. His mom apparently asked him to get back a baking pan that was her mother's that they had given me 6 months ago when I moved. It was currently full of cookies, and I told my ex that the return policy had expired. ETA. This pan was given to me in a housewarming gift for my new place, y'all. It wasn't some sentimental pan of great value. I'm pretty sure asking for gifts back after a breakup is tacky, and y'all know it. I also lent him a 1 terabyte PS4, but got a 500 GB one back. But we don't need to talk about that. But the breakup has really made me realize how immature he was. Looking at his social media posts since we've broken up, I honestly feel a little ashamed for justifying the immaturity before. I guess when you get wrapped up in other aspects of a person, some of their most glaring faults aren't all that noticeable. Anyways, this isn't all that dramatic of an update. I don't feel very heartbroken, and I feel as though the last couple months of the relationship were me coming to terms with it eventually ending anyway. Next man I date will be one who is respectful, kind, doesn't always assume he knows better, and perhaps a little bit older than me. I just want to add in a little footnote here. I don't think my ex is an awful, horrible person. Obviously, the context of my last couple posts have been within the context of some of his not-so-great qualities. But I don't hate him or think he's beyond redemption. I just think he has some work to do, as we all do, myself included. Just wanted to throw this in here. Story 4. My neighbor demands I marry his son, plus new updates. Original post, August 22, 2024. OOP Xenia, 35F, inherited her grandfather's house after his passing. She reflects on her grandfather's legacy as a beloved community figure and Vietnam War veteran. Xenia identifies as bisexual, dating her girlfriend Dinah. Her neighbor, Mr. Miles, 50 SM, expresses disapproval of the relationship, insisting she should marry his son, James, 35, instead. Despite Xenia's firm stance, Mr. Miles reacts by vandalizing her pride flag. His son, Paul, 37, attempts to ask Xenia out, dismissing her relationship with Dinah. Xenia stands her ground, asserting her relationship's validity and setting boundaries, while Dinah supports her through the ordeal. Update #1, August 27, 2024, 5 days later, Xenia recounts a troubling encounter with the law enforcement following harassment from Mr. Miles. With a previous incident where Mr. Miles attempted to demean Xenia and Dinah's relationship, the couple decided to stay with family for safety. Upon returning home, they were unexpectedly visited by police responding to a call alleging Xenia was holding Dinah against her will. Xenia navigates the situation with humor, clarifying Dinah is a lesbian and Mr. Miles was the one who made the call. Xenia provides video evidence of Mr. Miles's prior harassments, and the police inform them that without solid proof, they can't pursue harassment charges. Update #2, August 31, 2024, 4 days later. Xenia reviews her situation following a recent police incident. She describes her life, including Dinah's creative gardening and colorful decorations, which attracts HOA's attention. They receive a notice from an HOA officer about multiple violations regarding rainbow-themed decorations. Dinah is frustrated after receiving an unaddressed box containing American flags. Xenia is concerned with potential fines from HOA and conflicts with Mr. Miles and his son, who they suspect are behind the complaints. Xenia explains an ongoing police investigation related to a previous incident and expressed uncertainty about HOA's existence. Update #3, September 1, 2024, next day. Xenia expands more on the developments from ongoing saga with Mr. Miles, following the police involvement regarding harassment with unexpectedly twists. Xenia and Dinah discover their street lacks HOA. Dinah is excited and starts plans on painting their house in rainbow colors. Mr. Miles and his son, Paul, who raised concerns about security cameras. Xenia playfully engages with Paul, frustrating him. Dinah distributes mini rainbow flags to neighbors. Xenia's mother has history with Mr. Miles, offers to intervene. Dinah and Xenia prepare for a transformation of their home. They seek fun and creative ideas for their space. Update #4, September 7, 2024, 6 days later. Xenia and Dinah hosted a colorful painting party BBQ after getting the idea from Mr. Miles. Police responds to a noise complaint, but they found no laws were broken, leading to a fun evening filled with music and laughter. Next day, Mr. Miles visited to talk, expressing concerns about decorations for his ailing mother, Suga. Xenia rejected his offer. When Suga returned home, she appreciated vibrant displays, but was upset about the flag Mr. Miles damaged. After sharing heartfelt stories, Suga encouraged Xenia to propose to Dinah, leading to a surprise engagement. A romantic date night filled with nostalgia and laughter, Xenia proposed to Dinah, who accepted. Update #5, September 15, 2024, 8 days later. Xenia talks about the personal and social experiences, including dealing with online trolls criticizing their identity and engagement status. Despite the negativity, they find joy in their close-knit community, newfound neighbors, and an exciting trip to Aruba with Dinah and their families. The week takes a turn when a heated argument between Mr. Miles and his sister, Candy, escalates to a public altercation. Mr. Miles wasn't helping take care of their mother, Suga. Xenia and Dinah step in to ensure things don't get out of hand, leading to Mr. Miles being kicked out by his mother, Suga. Update #6, September 18, 2024, 3 days later. Xenia shares the emotional fallout from a stressful week and the impact it had on her mental health, particularly dealing with flashbacks from CPTSD. After a tense encounter with Mr. Miles, they take a day off to decompress and end up having a revealing conversation with their neighbor, Auntie. The conversation uncovers Mr. Miles's troubling behavior, including his reaction to one of his sons coming out and his misguided attempts to arrange Xenia's marriage to his sons. Her relief comes when she learned that Suga, a beloved community figure, is not as sick as Mr. Miles had claimed, and that she's actually kicking him out due to his mistreatment. Xenia is feeling the support, thankful for their community and for being able to share their journey. Final update, September 21st, 2024, 3 days later. Xenia's toxic dynamics continue with Mr. Miles. After confirming James, Miles' son, was the one who came out and caused Miles' violent reaction, Xenia learns of the deep emotional scars James had from his father's abuse. James tells his heartbreaking story of self-harm, therapy, and eventual acceptance by Suga, his grandmother. Xenia is upset over Miles' behavior and his absence from the family. She has the sense of closure as Suga moves forward without him. Amid the drama, Xenia has respect for Suga, describing her as a maternal figure, and even plans to ask her to officiate their wedding. Editor's note: OP shared a jollof rice and fish recipe in this post due to high requests. The full recipe is in the link above. New updates. Final update 2. My neighbor demands I marry his son. September 27th, 2024. Y'all okay? So I know I said final update, but at the time I thought it was since Miles moved in with his lady? Fiancé? Whatever. And y'all were all like, hey sure, John. But as what I'm about to share unfolded, Dinah kept grinning at me like, you know you need to tell them, so here I fucking am Elmow, so sorry not sorry. Okay, but after this I am going to move to more appropriate subs for this crap like Neighbor from Hell or something, as some off you suggested might be more suited. That all said, welcome to the tea party. All was well when I posted last, and I was very happy with that, until reviews started appearing online for Dinah's job that night, naming her some knockoff generic version of her name. So like say her real name is Dinah, the reviews called her Dina, calling her an illegal immigrant and deviant who uses drugs and should be investigated. Dinah gets questioned by her boss about it, which is several layers of insulting. She's an immigrant. Yes, her whole family. But she's always had legal status and even served in the military. I won't get into my views on loaded terms like illegal to describe a human or what in feel about immigration, but even that aside, the face that he went for her like that, and yes, I knew it was Miles or someone influenced by him, made me pissed. Social media also popped off with random no PP, yes I mean no profile pic, and also shrugs. Having profiles laugh reacting to our public, now private, post about the engagement, vomit emojis on pics of us, you get it. So imagine my mood by Wednesday after I saw one such profile on Dinah's Insta comment and call her a TR*NNY with so tiny a joystick it doesn't show in this swimsuit pic. Dinah made her profile private that moment and reported the comment along with the others. But when she told me, very upset, I went to Candy about this. Candy asked for screenshots and I sent them. She didn't look even a little surprised as she read the messages and comments. Her husband has been getting similar stuff. He is also an immigrant. And James is now getting deviant and the like on his social media. She thinks together we can hire a lawyer to deal with this with the police. I was like, but you're a lawyer, and she said she is, but this isn't her specialty, saying it's like asking a pediatrician to diagnose and treat an elderly person with high blood pressure. But she had this look when she said not to worry. This won't cost me or Dinah any money, just maybe time. I talked to Dinah and texted Candy to tell us what she needs as we are done with Miles. Dinah started laughing at me and said, so hold on, all I have to do is cry and now you're out for blood? And I thought about like, yeah, actually. She's a tough one, so it'd take a lot for her to really get in her feelings, so yeah, when someone causes her to get truly upset, I want to rain fire. Okay, so that's the bad. I did this first because I wanted to share the good last so y'all ain't spitting and cussing about the audacity of this man. I get to meet Adonis and see James again for Halloween. We are hosting a party here at the house with family activities early on and some light debauchery after. Promise we ain't gonna break the law knowingly. Dinah's mom is even coming. Dinah has been teaching me Romanian to impress her because I am a mess catastrophizing. Is that a word about it? I've met her on video chats, but this is different. I am her daughter's fiancé now. What if she hated me, and now has to say so before we tie the knot? What if she thinks I'm like insert whatever here for her daughter? What if she plots my demise somehow? Not logical, but that's anxiety for you. Dinah assures me that Mama loves me and was so pleased to hear about our engagement and just wants to spend time with us and see what is our home and community. So I've just asked what dishes I can start to learn to make. I've tried my hand at 3 so far. Dinah vetoed one, and she would never say so to my face in a direct fashion, but she hated it, LOL. And lastly, I asked my daddy if he can walk me down the aisle, which is a major duh, but he cried. A lot. And said of course he would. We talked a while about it, and he said he was absolutely honored and didn't want to assume I would ask him, so he braced for it not happening. I told him, I said, "You're my dad. I want you to walk me down that damn aisle. I want a daddy-daughter dance. I want to highlight what a father you are to me." He asked if he's giving me away, and I laughed, saying that I'm not a yard sale item, and he said they was a relief because he also wasn't a fan of the implications he got from the tradition. My mom texted me a long text about how happy he has been, how he has told literally God and everyone, and how he already has plans to get remeasured for a new suit as he wants to look his best. She said this in the group chat with the 4 of us, and Dinah chimed in and asked if he would also be okay having a dance with her, as he's been a surrogate dad to her. He didn't reply, but Mom did for him, saying he's in tears and accepted and wants to know our wedding colors. Spoiler alert, our colors are going to be rainbow. Coming out, September 30th, 2024, 3 days later. So I've been asked ever since I mentioned my coming out was weird. So I will put it here for anyone who actually cares. I realized I was queer in my teens. I had a big ass crush on 2 actresses and was like, oh shit, I panicked a lot, it's the South. Back then, not accepting. My school crush called me gross, and then her sister and friends pushed me into a wall so hard I was bleeding. I was scared out of my mind. I just chose to be like, hey, I do also sort of kind of like men, so lean into that. So I holed up in my room, and Mom finally asked me what was up, and I looked at her and wailed to leave me alone. I accused her of being intrusive. Mom kinda looked at me like, KLOL, and then we all planned a pool day at the house. Moms. I turned to Mom tipsy and went, "Mom, I'm queer." And she stared at me and blinked and went, "Cool, baby, hand over the wine, lol." But I was most afraid to tell Pop. I waited for his birthday. I cooked his favorite food and kept saying, "Thank you, baby," and bragging he was being spoiled, and I waited with him for a while and just whispered it. "I like girls." He said, "Did you say something?" "I like girls." "Baby, so sorry, I really don't know what you're saying." I scream it, "I like girls," and he stares at me and laughs. "Me too." "Pop, I mean I like them." "Me too." "Poppy, baby?" I said, "I like girls, like romantic." He says, "Me too!" And we laugh. He hugs me. "Want a tea?" And there's the tea. Editor's note. OP posts onto a different sub this time, Ada. Want to force me and your son to have a wedding? Oh, we'll have a wedding. December 4th, 2024, a bit more than 2 months later. New to this sub, but I will do my darndest. Sorry for the length. TLDR, would we be the assholes for making jokes to poke fun at my friend's homophobic father throughout our engagement and double wedding? I generally posted on Reddit about my former neighbor, who I've been calling Mr. Miles. The long of it is in those posts here. But the short of it is I grew up with him and his family next door, and one of his sons, James, is a buddy of mine. We grew up together. I am bisexual and was dating Dinah, a woman. And unbeknownst to me, before all this, James is both gay and dating a man. Miles, in learning that I was dating a woman, started harassing us. He demanded I marry James. Girl, I mean demanded. I said no, because of course. He tried to guilt me that his mother needs to see her boys married, etc. He ripped down our pride flags, made false calls to the cops on us, emotionally abused us, you name it. His behavior got so bad his mother kicked him out the home. This man is in his 50s. So he left to his GFs and went on to cyberstalk and cyberbully us. Well, James and his BF got engaged a few weeks ago. We did a double date together and they told us. Dinah and I went home and sat up in bed and she just started laughing to herself and I asked her, "What's up?" And she gave me this. Wouldn't it be so funny if Miles did get to hear of James and me having a wedding? But it's a double wedding. I marry Dinah, James marries his man. We laughed so hard at it and kept riffing ideas like since James and I are locals, and Miles's mother Suga is paying for my and Dinah's wedding already, Long story, but in my other posts. We can do the invites with a pic of me and pic of James on the outside of the invite and a pic of Dinah and a pic of Adonis on the inside in a misleading way to make it look like heterosexual wedding invites until you read it. The inside would be rainbow, of course. We came up with so many ideas, and I started to text James to have him share in the laugh. Well, a few days later, and the joke continued. It became a group chat of all four of us riffing and coming up with more and more ideas. Over drinks, we joked more and more until the bartender said she thought we were legit planning a double wedding. We got really quiet and looked at each other. Our conversation became more serious. James's maternal grandfather, Kent, was going to pay for his wedding. So we floated the idea with both Kent and Sugar. We are now jokingly, but thinking almost seriously, planning a rainbow, fied gay, $1 wedding with one single purposefully misleading, save the date to send to Miles. We won't be able to keep it up throughout our entire engagement. But since everyone already knows about Miles trying to force James and I together, we just will plan things to poke fun of the absurdity of it all. James and I and our fiancés will have a series of photos taken for the engagement party where James and I wear matching colors and our finances match one another, etc. Dinah does decor, and she found someone to make our poster to say, "Here's to forever, best friends for life. Cheers to forever, husbands and wives." We are going to do a comedic switch of spouses at the ceremony, a skit-like first dance, as if we got confused and started to dance with the wrong person and more. It's petty but funny to us, and I would not be able to wait to have my good friend and his husband share in such a special time for all of us. James would wait until just before the save the dates to email his dad a carefully misleading message that, "OP and I will be having a wedding. Look out for the invites." Dinah is working on the save the date designs, and now some of my and James' family, aside from Miles and his apologists, are in on the joke adding funny ideas to this plan. This could be fun, but it's also really involved and over the top. On brand for me, but a few folk are saying it's a bit too much and won't be funny but will just make us look like AH. James and I and our fiancés will have a double wedding regardless, but aren't sure if we want to take it this far. Would we be the assholes if we went with this idea or a variation of it? It's childish, I admit, but I kind of want to do it low-L. Story 5. A dentist finds what looks like a human jawbone in a new tile floor. Original post, April 15th, 2024. Title: Found a mandible in the travertine floor at my parents' house. My parents just got their home renovated with travertine stone. This looks like a section of mandible. Could it be a hominid? Is it usual? Image description: what very much looks like part of a human jawbone, including teeth. Relevant comments. Commenter: dentist with forensic odontology training here. This is a hominid mandible, almost certainly human. While all Old World monkeys, apes, and hominids share the same dental formula, 2123, and the individual molars and premolars can look similar, the specific spacing in the mandible itself is very specifically and characteristically human, or at least related in very recent hominid relative ancestor. Most likely human given the success of the proliferation of HS and the relatively rapid formation of travertine. Against modern Homo sapiens, which may not be entirely relevant, the morphology of the mandible is likely not Northern European but more similar to African, Middle Eastern, mainland Asian. OOP. I am a dentist also myself, and I look at CBCTs all day long, which may be why I immediately noticed it. I fully agree with you. Commenter: OP, do your parents have any uninstalled extra tiles? You might want to look through them in the off chance you have another slice of the fossil. OOP, I checked everywhere, but I could not find any other slice with this fossil. Commenter: this might be the most interesting post on Reddit I have ever seen. OOP. I was quite sure it was human when I saw it, but did not know how to get in contact with the right persons. Because of the visibility of this post, I am now in contact with a paleoanthropology team. They seem happy to have found a fossil on Reddit. Will update soon. Mini update in comments, April 16th, 2024, next day. Update 1. Thank you all for your answers. I tried to edit the post to give you all an update, but I cannot. If anyone can help, please DM. Here are the answers to most asked questions. 1/ I don't think it is Jimmy Hoffa. 2/ the quarry seems to be located in Turkey. Initially thought it was Spain. 3/yes, it is natural travertin. 4/ in the last 24H we have been reached by several researchers, and we are currently discussing how we can get them involved. 5/ we are located in Europe. 6/ banana for scale. See attached picture. 7/ it is located in the corridor leading to the terrace, doorframe on the picture, banana scaling image. Full update post 1, April 16th, 2024. Title, tile number 2. Found a mandible in the travertin floor at my parents' house. I looked at the other tiles, and I have a few suspicious artifacts. Could this be a slice of femoral head? I am a dentist, and this is out of my field of expertise. Here are the answers to most asked questions of last post. 1/ I don't think it is Jimmy Hoffa. 2/ the quarry seems to be located in Turkey. Initially thought it was Spain. 3/ yes, it is natural travertin. 4/ in the last 24H we have been reached by several researchers, and we are currently discussing how we can get them involved. 5/ we are located in Europe. 6/ the first tile was in a corridor. Image description. Less obvious, but there is a similar indent in this tile along with a longer-shaped indent. Relevant comment. Commenter. Yeah, OP, what are you going to do about the floor? If it wasn't so cool, I'd be pretty annoyed that the contractors installed tiles that have flaws in them. The bones imprints would be impossible to clean. Dirt would build up in the holes. Are you going to replace all the tiles? Only the ones that obviously have people in them and hope the other ones don't? Are you going to make contractors come back and redo it? OOP. They chose second choice travertin, which means with more flaws than first choice, so it would be cheaper and less slippery. OOP comments on a crosspost. Still April 16th, 2024. Commenter. Well, we have a few comments here, but I just wanted to ask how excited you and your family was to realize just what you had. And how long had they had this tile before you came along and pointed out that it was a fossil mandible? OP. Thank you. We are excited but also worried as the house was finished a few months ago and these tiles are everywhere. Yesterday was the first time I came to the newly renovated house. I immediately found out something was odd with this tile. Nobody really noticed before. Update post 2, April 18th, 2024, 3 days from OG post. Title, Reddit, we need your help. Quick summary. Last Friday, I went to my parents' house and found a fossil of mandible embedded in a travertine tile, 12 mm thick. The Reddit post got such a great audience that I have been contacted by several teams of world-class paleoarchaeologists from all over the world. Now, there is no doubt we are looking at a hominin mandible. This is not Jimmy Hoffa. But we need to remove the tile and send it for analysis. DNA testing, micro-CT, and much more. It is so extraordinary, and removing a tile is not something the paleoarchaeologists do on a daily basis. So the biggest question we have is how should we do it? How would you proceed to unseal the tile without breaking it? It has been cemented with C2 E-class cement. Thank you. Image description. Someone with a paintbrush carefully studying the mandible. Relevant comments. Commenter. Obviously you would prefer not damaging the other tiles, but would it not be better to find another tile to test your methods on? From a quick Google search, it also seems to say the first tile is the hardest one to remove without damage, so you may have to start with removing one of the surrounding tiles to make it easier, less risky when removing the mandible tile. OP. Very nice advice, this is what we are looking for. Commenter. I'd ask the esteemed paleoarchaeologists to fund a professional to remove the tile. If it's as important as they think, I probably wouldn't leave the process to an untrained individual. Tiles are really hard to remove intact once they've been set. If I absolutely had to DIY this, I would probably go for an angle grinder with a diamond blade and prepare for everything to be covered with dust for the next 1,000 years. Plus, someone's going to have to replace that tile for your parents, so you'll probably be calling a tile guy anyway. OOP. Problem is that basically they told us to find a contractor, but how are we supposed to know he will find the best option? Commenter. You said you've been contacted by teams all over the world. You can always contact the next one down the list. I have to imagine that some of these teams are spending a lot more to get a lot less on a fairly regular basis. OOP. Uncementing a travertine tile out of a kitchen seems to be an uncommon issue for paleoanthropologists, no offense. Commenter. Absolutely. But they can find the right person as easily as anyone else. I wouldn't want to be putting in all this time for them if someone else is actually willing to do the legwork. OP, someone will come and propose a technique. Just after 100 answers to this post, I know better which questions to ask. Commenter, seriously, require a certificate of insurance, make them source the contractor, or no deal. Good deeds often go punished. Don't get too caught up in the excitement and protect your family and property. OP, I am all ears. There is no rush. That tile is not going anywhere until we are not sure how to do it properly. Mini update in comments. April 21st, 2024. 6 days from OG post, 3 days from last. Commenter, any update on this, OP? Did you get it out safely? Did it turn out to just be a boot print, or did you crack it? OP, haha, we did not do anything yet. The paleoarchaeologists we spoke with should come back to us with their options this week. As I now have a Reddit degree in tile removal, I will be able to understand what is at stake. OOP's story is written about in Architectural Digest. Post. April 21st, 2024. OP comments, next time I will be more careful choosing a Reddit username. I did not expect this one to be all over the news. OP replies to a comment on April 26th, 10 days later. Commenter, OP, they showed this in my class yesterday. It was super fun to say I saw it before everyone, haha. OP, aha, this picture is everywhere. May 2nd, 2024, OP makes Nat Geo. Post. May 2nd, 2024, 16 days from OG post. OOP, very good summary. From asking Reddit to spending 2 hours in a Zoom call with a team of scientists discussing hominin fossils. I did not imagine that career path 2 weeks ago. Editor's note. OOP's story was also written about in the Washington Post and the Atlantic. Mini update in comments, July 23rd, 2024, 2.5 months later. The tile is out and safe. It is currently studied, but it takes time to get results. I will update if people are interested. Update Post 3, August 9th, 2024, almost 4 months from OG Post. Hi everyone! I guess it's time for a first update regarding this fossil. TLDR, the fossil is in a lab being studied. First, I want to thank everyone who responded to the previous posts, as your input helped us connect with the right people. You played a significant role in the success of this story. After the Reddit post, which reached a phenomenal audience, we received numerous responses from around the world. It quickly became clear that the fossil resembled a hominin, ancient human, and had scientific value that warranted further study. We decided to proceed with a team of renowned archaeopaleontologists. It took a few weeks to determine the best way to remove the tile without risking damage to the fossil. A few weeks ago, a team of researchers achieved a first, excavating a hominin fossil from the floor of a modern house. The process took nearly 12 hours, but thanks to their patience and professionalism, they were able to extract it without causing any damage. For our friends, here's how they proceeded. After carefully inspecting the tile, they cut out the relevant section with a disc. They then removed the other parts of the tile and carefully carved out the cement using a manual wire saw. The tile is now in the lab, where researchers are studying the fossil and the travertine to determine its age, origin, and which hominin it belongs to. Of course, they also examined the other travertine tiles in the house, around 800 of them, and found several other potentially interesting ones. I've attached pictures for reference. Let me know if you'd like more updates. Image descriptions. Image 1. The tile with the mandible in a container. Image 2. Workers getting the tile out. Image 3. Workers still getting the tile out. Image 4. Potentially another bone fragment. Relevant comments. Commenter, yes, keep us updated. Did you literally find more bones and jawbones in your house? Can I buy your house right now? OP, aha, more bones, yes, see picture attached. Unfortunately, not other jawbones, to another commenter. Probably a metatarsal bone, but hard to say if hominin. Estimated age, OP. Stone is old, probably around 1 million years old, but we will know more in near future. Fossil would be around the same age. The stone was extracted in Turkey. Again, we don't know yet, but it is probably Homo erectus. Cost. They did not extract any other tile yet. They covered the cost, but honestly, it was not that expensive. Commenter. Are the scientists able to contact the tile people and find out where this was quarried? Also, what's going to happen to the holes in your floor? Will you replace with another travertine tile or maybe something to commemorate the old time? Like maybe a cast concrete faux fossil, OP. They are in contact with the tile people. The missing tile has immediately been replaced, but the commemorative cast is a good idea. Commenter, I didn't realize the tile itself was so thin. That makes this even more amazing. OP, 1.2 centimeters. One last thought from OOP. I agree there might be fossils everywhere. We should organize a fossil day and get everyone to check their floor. Even though it is only 12 mm thick, the CT scan is crazy. I will share it when I am allowed to. New update post, October 9th, 2024. 2 months later, 5 months from OG post. Title, Micro CT of the mandible in the travertine tile. More update of, I found a mandible in the travertine floor at my parents' house. Hi everyone. Here is a research update with some images and a cool video. For those who missed the first posts, the links are at below. Long story short, the tile has been safely extracted from my parents' house floor and has now been studied in a specialized laboratory. According to the team of human paleontologists, this mandible is potentially of great scientific value to our understanding of the first migration of fossil hominin species outside of Africa after 2 million years ago. Besides the famous site of Dmanisi, which preserves a number of Homo erectus individuals who lived about 1.75 million years ago, there are almost no other fossils in the Middle East, Europe, and Western Asia between 1–2 million years ago. So, determining its age and what species it belongs to are crucially important. Becoming encased in travertine, which could be due to local hot spring activities, preserved the mandible and prevented it from simply fragmenting and weathering away, as most skeletal remains do. The travertine does present significant challenges as to whether it can be removed intact. However, thanks to the availability of microtomography, removing the specimen so that it can be studied is not immediately necessary. Last month, the whole tile was micro-CT scanned at a resolution of approximately 100 micrometers. This means in 10 X-ray slices per millimeter. The mandible itself was later scanned at 60 micrometers and the preserved molar teeth at 27 micrometers. In the video, you see a rendering of the whole tile, and then the tile is removed virtually to show a surface model of the mandible itself. What is very exciting for the human paleontologists, and me as a dentist, is that the crown of the wisdom tooth, or third molar, is completely preserved within the tile. At the end of video, a semi-transparent model of a fossil human mandible from Europe is oriented over mandible in the tile to show what was likely missing from the original specimen. Work is underway to analyze the shape of the tooth crowns, the preserved tooth roots, and the mandible. In the meantime, geologists are working to identify the quarry the mandible may have come from, as well as the age of the travertine surrounding the specimen. Archaeogeneticists will also be assessing whether there might be preserved biomolecules, such as proteins or DNA, that they could try and extract and study. So stay tuned. Story 6. My husband of 20 years is cheating on me with our son's 18-year-old girlfriend. Original post. Raredit. March 17, 2024. I'm going to use pseudonyms for anyone I reference in this post. I, 41F, am a stay-at-home mom. My husband, 48M, whom we'll call Paul, works in finance. We have been married for nearly 20 years. We have 2 kids whom we'll call Eric, our 18-year-old son, currently a senior in high school, and Mary, our 15-year-old daughter. They are both the lights of my life. My marriage with my husband has grown somewhat stale over the years for a myriad of reasons, such as his work schedule and how I've aged poorly since we first met. Our son, Eric, has a girlfriend, 18F, whom he's been dating since they were freshmen in high school. We'll call her Amy. Eric absolutely adores Amy. She's his first love, and she's someone I've always considered as family. This makes the whole situation emotionally excruciating for me. Last week, I inadvertently saw my husband's phone screen and got a glimpse of a text thread between my husband and Amy. Our son's girlfriend and I read what looked like a message of her telling him that she misses sucking his cock. I froze in place, in complete disbelief. I spent most of the day convincing myself that I must have misread what I saw. However, I didn't misread it because over the last several days, I discovered a file on his computer filled with tons of BDSM porn. He clearly has a porn addiction. He also has saved photos of Amy from her Instagram on his computer. Although they weren't inappropriate, she was fully clothed, it was still the proof I needed to confirm that I wasn't going crazy. I also looked at his phone during opportune moments and saw more of their interactions. I wish I had never looked. They were filled with mean, horrible things said at my expense, with him constantly comparing me to her. He would call me fat and old, among other things, with Amy lolling. I've always had hunches or paranoid feelings that Paul has been cheating on me, but never in a million years could I have fathomed something like this. Last month I found a thong in our bedroom that I know wasn't mine. I turned a blind eye to it, being naive and acting like it was maybe our daughter's, even though that made zero sense. Not only is he cheating on me, but he's betraying our son. I'm completely devastated. I don't even think words can adequately describe the dread, anger, shock I feel right now. I'm totally overwhelmed on how to handle this because obviously action needs to be taken, but I'm terrified of what kind of psychic blow this will be for my son. I have no idea how to even broach this completely fucked up topic with him. I wouldn't wish this predicament on my worst enemy. I can't even believe I married this scumbag in the first place. And then my mind started to race, realizing that I started noticing specifically unusual behavior from him around the same time Amy turned 18. Was he waiting for her to turn 18 before pursuing this affair? There's so many layers to all of this, and I'm completely paralyzed with fear and dread about it all. None of it makes any fucking sense. How did this happen? Am I that much of a stupid idiot that I let all of this happen under my watch? Eric adores Amy, and the thought of revealing this sickening truth to him terrifies me. The impact on his young heart and mind could be devastating. My heart aches for Eric and Mary, who are completely innocent bystanders. I haven't confronted my husband about this because I'm frankly scared of the domino effect. I don't know who to turn to first about this. I share my story not for sympathy, but in search of understanding and perhaps advice from those who might have had to grapple with deep betrayal. Thank you for listening. Further info from OOP. To not have my initial post be long-winded because I didn't think I needed to get into the minutiae of this, I didn't bother going into those details. How I inadvertently saw it was this. He was on his phone. He did not have iMessage open currently on the screen, but the application was still open. You know how on the iPhone when you swipe up and it shows all of the applications that are open and you can close them. When he was closing out the applications, something he does compulsively, I noticed it. It's not like he was some kind of idiotic buffoon having iMessage open for all to see. I saw he forgot he had the application running when he swiped up from a completely different app. Also, I did say in my post that I went back to his phone to actually solidify my suspicion on a different day. So you are incorrect in asserting that I'm now magically changing my story. I am being consistent. Relevant comment? Yogurt claused? OC 5338. If she's freshly 18, isn't this illegal? There's no way they weren't doing anything illegal before she turned into an adult. Also, even if so, the age gap is over 3 decades. Her husband is suspect ASF. Police immediately. OP. She's been 18 for 5 months now. I haven't been able to gauge when their affair started. I'm trying my hardest to figure that out. He deletes his texts every couple of weeks, it seems like. So I haven't been able to pinpoint when this whole thing started. OP adds in the comments, "Thank you everyone for overwhelming support. I'm sorry if I haven't responded to your private messages. I'll get to it when I can. Dealing with a lot right now and taking a lot of steps that need to be taken. I'm trying to be smart and strategic with this truly surreal and terrible situation I'm in. I want to be clear that not telling my son about this was never something I was considering. I didn't mean to make it seem that way. I was just saying I'm intensely dreading it. But obviously it needs to be addressed. It's one part of the many steps of my overall plan. I'm currently playing dumb and collecting as much evidence as I can so I can be prepared for anything and everything. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to make sure I don't put myself in any potential harm's way. I'll post a more thorough update soon when I can. But please know you've all touched my heart so much and made me feel less alone. I am divorcing my husband because he cheated on me with our son's 18-year-old girlfriend, Reddit. March 22nd, 2024. I'm using pseudonyms for confidentiality. I shared a situation a few days ago on another subreddit involving my 41F husband, Paul, 48NM, our children, Eric, 18M, and Mary, 15F. I discovered that Paul was having an affair with our son's 18-year-old girlfriend, Amy. My son has been dating her since they were freshmen in high school. My brother connected me to a very tough junkyard dog-type lawyer. I saved screenshots of all his conversations with Amy. I was only able to get the last 3 months from iCloud. The conversations were mostly flirty and dirty talk. It was hard to stomach, completely sleazy, and I saw several negative things said about me. His call history showed he talks with her for hours pretty consistently. He uses dating apps. I took screenshots of his profiles and all of the active chats he has with his matches. It's very clear he uses a filter to seek out girls who are 18, 22 or so. I copied all of his files from the computer. He goes on sex chat rooms and forums, and he spends a ton of money on OnlyFans. I rummaged through every possible hiding spot I could think of in the house. He had various toys, blindfolds, cuffs, lubricants, etc. He also had different outfits which looked kind of like a girls' Catholic school uniform, and a French maid type outfit too. I picked up Eric and Mary from school, and we all drove to my brother's. They were able to sense something was awry when I picked them up. I delicately told them the entire situation, and I broke down crying. Mary had the most anger, even more than Eric. I met with Amy's mother and told her everything. She confiscated Amy's phone and gave me the entire chat log. It only dated back 3 months ago, like on my husband's cloud, almost as if they both deleted the messages at the same time. She told me Amy sobbed when confronted. Amy basically told her mother that she will never understand and that she and him are in love. I don't want to get into too many details with what else she was saying, but suffice to say, it's very easy to assume that my husband slowly and methodically became a sage-like figure in her life, making her feel she could rely on him, and he took advantage of the fact that she came from a broken home. Amy is also non-stop insistent that their friendship only became romantic physical recently, and before that she said he was more of a friend and mentor. I confronted Paul over Zoom. The look on his face was scary. He became red and looked so sweaty. He had anger and panic in his eyes. His tone of voice was very defensive and frightening. He kept yelling the word context over and over again, and that none of that happened. He was unable to speak without constant stutters and intensity. Nothing really made any sense to me. I refused to tell him where I was, and he said I had no right to take his kids away from him, and then he abruptly left the Zoom. My lawyer is filing for temporary sole custody of Mary and a restraining order. Mary is still the most angry. She's totally furious with her dad and Amy, justifiably so, of course. Mary is recollecting moments and times she watched her dad interact with her friends, and she's in knots about it. Eric is very clearly hurting, but he's so strong and very level-headed. He wants to see a therapist. The maturity my kids are showing makes me proud. They don't deserve this at all. We made the authorities aware of everything. I plan on being completely unforgiving and ruthless in this divorce. I'm reflecting on how I've been treated and how it's made me a shell of myself, and how I've had a very negative opinion of myself because of him over the last 20 years. I don't want to let this scumbag get away with it. I want to reinvent myself and move on stronger than ever. Relevant comment? De la France. How is your son holding up? What has developed between him and Amy? OP. He hasn't spoken to Amy yet since finding out the news, and I'm not sure if he ever will again. Deleted. Have you confirmed if the thong you found was Amy's? The situation is fucked up. OOP. I confirmed that it wasn't my daughter's. She said it wasn't hers, and I know it wasn't mine. So who else's could it be? Deleted. Wait, are you saying that they fucked in the master bedroom? Huh. 5,914. Don't cheaters always use their married bed? OP. Yes, I believe he did. OOP adds in the comments. Both me and my son are going to get tested and checked out as well. There's no telling how many different women he's been sleeping around with. As for Amy, her mom has been in contact with me, and Amy has been threatening to run away with him because they are in love. Update #2, March 27th, 2024. Thank you again for all the love and encouragement. It gives me comfort and means so much to me. I've received many comments and messages accusing me of faking this story, which oddly also provides comfort because all of this feels unreal even to me. It validates my own feelings that there are people out there who can't even fathom this being true. I wish it were fake. I've been focusing on and worrying about how others are feeling over this, somewhat ignoring my own feelings, which I'm trying to change. I range from anger to numbness like a light switch. We're all safe and still at my brother's house. We're very careful, and his house is secured. Paul has tried to call my cell phone several times a day. I am refusing to interact with him, and I will have my lawyer handle all correspondence. He scares me, frankly. My brother has a very secure house with an alarm system and deadbolt locks. We feel safe with him. Both my son and I got checked out and tested. It appears so far that we're both clean based on the immediate rapid tests, but in the coming days, we'll know for certain when the lab results come in. I'm not overly concerned. Eric is scheduled to see a therapist early next week, which is very good and needed. He's not himself right now. He seems a bit shell-shocked, and I am concerned. He internalizes a lot, and it's hard to get a read on what's going on in his head. That being said, he's thoughtful and has been talking with me, asking me how I'm doing and everything. He's not interested in corresponding with his dad at all. He calls only my cell phone, and he hasn't tried to reach out to either Eric or Mary. I get the sense that Paul is extremely nervous. He's scared, and I think he deep down knows that if investigated thoroughly, he would be in big trouble. That's what my gut is telling me. I still think about the Zoom call with him, and the more I think about it, the more it looked like he was a man whose entire world was crashing down on him. The panic in his face was very apparent. I offered Mary for me to make an appointment with a therapist as well, but she doesn't want to see one yet. She said she's open to it eventually, but wants time to herself. She's been asking her friends about her dad and if they experienced any creepiness from him. Her friends were open and honest with her, and apparently they felt like he stared a lot and sensed his hovering presence whenever they were over. One of Mary's friends went so far as to say that she felt like he was checking her out a lot, like looking at her rear and complimenting the color of her yoga pants. At the time, no issue was brought up about it, but in light of everything that has been happening, it seems strange now. He would sit himself in different areas or vantage points to get a good view of her, she claimed. He also asked questions about what kind of friend group or which clique they were in at school. He kept asking about if they were popular girls. I'm completely embarrassed that they had this experience at our house. As for updates on Amy, which is the main reason why I wanted to write this update, I completely agree that she is also a victim. A lot of people have been emphasizing that, and I agree. I've done everything I could in my own power to indirectly get her opportunities to get help. Like I said, I told her mother, and she's been updating me on everything. Amy, unfortunately, is still living in her deluded reality, and I can only pray that she'll eventually come to her senses. She doesn't want to see any doctors or therapists at all, and has been constantly trying to reach Paul because, again, she believes that they are in love. From what I've been told, she hasn't been able to get hold of him, and he's been avoiding communication with her completely. Amy blames me for that, and believes I took away his devices and am very controlling. Any truth that her mother tries to convey to her is met with conspiracy theories and hostility. Amy looks at me as a villain and still sees Paul through rose-colored glasses. Her mother showed her screenshots of his dating app profiles and matches, and she refuses to believe it, saying I photoshopped it. According to her mom, Amy keeps saying things like, everyone is just mad because she found herself a real man, and that I'm jealous because she takes better care of him than I do. It's in line with some of the conversations I screenshot, where a lot of what Paul says is him complaining about things I don't do for him sexually. Right now, she's insistent that she and Paul will be together in the long run. Ugh, he's honestly a slimeball. I can only hope that Amy comes to her senses, but me directly intervening doesn't feel like it would be productive at the moment. Maybe eventually, though. Relevant comment. Useful_. Escape 1845. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Reading all the previous posts, I honestly get the vibe that your husband wasn't a very good one to begin with. Someday, when you're ready, you're going to find someone who thinks you're glorious as you age. Your son is also going to be okay. He's gotten a lesson on exactly how men shouldn't behave. A painful one, but in time he's going to realize that Amy was groomed and abused. It sounds like she was vulnerable, and your ex took advantage of a child who was in a bad situation. Hopefully, once Amy has had some time to process just how messed up this was, she'll tell the police the whole story. I fully believe something was happening before she turned 18. OP, I believe stuff happened before she was 18 too. John Miliano. Do you think they kept that relationship secret for most of Eric and Amy's relationship? What a disgusting father and pig if that is truth. OOP. I'm not sure when things got actually physical or romantic, but I do think his grooming started as soon as she came into the picture when Eric started dating her freshman year. This mentor and a friend that Amy alluded to had to start right away, and the way she's acting now, being so indebted and believing every single thing he says, shows that his effect on her had to be over a long period of time. She only turned 18 like 5 months ago. Her behavior and infatuation for him seemed so strong that it couldn't possibly be only 5 months of them being together. Minute_. Bus 6892. If they are consenting adults, then there is nothing to report. This is a personal problem that needs to be dealt with by attorneys and the people involved. People are way too jumpy to snap to the police to fix their problems anymore. OP is handling this the correct way. If any legal issues come into play, then her attorney will do the right thing. OP, the only thing we can really hang our hat on is the possibility of Amy having an epiphany of the reality of her situation, and she opens up candidly about when it began. But because she's 18 currently and has no interest in saying or doing anything that could potentially put Paul in legal trouble, nothing really can be done. Unless they find out about other girls that I have no idea about yet. New update. Update #3. April 8, 2024. As for the divorce, it's very much underway. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it all because it's ongoing, and I want to make sure everything is going to go smoothly. I got temporary custody of Mary. Paul also has to pay temporary child support. There's a protective order. Paul can't contact us or come near us. Right now, we're just focusing on getting through this legal mess. Again, not getting into specifics because I don't want to mess anything up, but what I'll say is I'm very confident, divorce aside, that there's overwhelming evidence against Paul that will get him in serious trouble, and it will impact him for the rest of his life. I'm sure eventually I can share more about that. I know a lot of people are concerned about his predatory ways, and I just wanted to convey this, even though I have to be vague right now. Justice will come. All of your concern about how my kids are doing psychologically means a lot to me. Eric has been to therapy twice over the last 2 weeks. I know some people thought I was dismissive of him and acting like he's doing okay. I very much know that he's hurting internally, and we're doing everything we can to make sure he knows he is supported and loved. My brother has been amazing in spending time with Eric and Mary, and both of them have confided in him about a lot. My brother has a very healthy marriage, and both he and his wife have really stepped up to the plate for all of us. Mary has not seen a therapist yet, but she promises that she will be open to seeing one soon. Her anger has mostly turned into sadness, I noticed, and I hope I can get her to see a therapist soon. Her friends have played a key role in this whole thing, and that's something that Mary has been grappling with as well. I know a lot of people are invested in the well-being of Amy as well. There were a lot of questions about whether Eric and Amy would still see each other at school. It sounded like they go to the same school, but they do not. Eric and Amy went to the same junior high school and knew each other even then, but Amy ended up going to an all-girls Catholic high school while Eric, and Mary too, stayed in the public school system. We all lived in the same town, and over the summer heading into freshman year is when they were getting to know each other, and when they started dating. I wish I had a better Amy update, but it's gotten a lot worse since the last update. Paul has actually been seeing Amy, despite her mother trying to force her not to see him. She tells me that Amy says she's 18 and an adult and she can do what she wants. Her mother is in a precarious spot because if she kicks Amy out of the house for defying her, something that she has threatened to do, which I think is a mistake, she would just run to Paul permanently. The time she spends with Paul has increased over the last week, despite the fact that Paul initially ghosted her when all of this first hit the fan. There were some days where Amy would just be gone for hours on end. There's only so much I could do with the Amy situation, but again, I do believe things will turn around soon with that, given what I know about Paul and what's to come. I can only pray that Amy can get help and guidance when more shit hits the fan. I'm doing everything I can with my own kids and my own mental health, and Amy's mom knows she has my support, and that's all I could really provide. Top comments. Zealous Adil Gold, 5,909. TBH, the only way that Amy will see how messed up Paul is when he eventually sleeps with someone else or he accuses her of seducing him. Even if he ends as a sex offender IDK, if that's enough to convince her that he's a creep and dangerous. Now I'm curious to what Paul's intentions are. He ghosted her and now all of a sudden they're meeting up again. Worst case scenario, he's going to have her falsely testify, which I don't think will take much convincing Amy. Honestly, you and Amy's mom did what you could. The best thing Amy's mom could do is sit and wait, but don't kick her out. Let her know she'll be there for Amy, and she'll still have a roof over her head. And pray she snaps out of it soon instead of years later, when she has burned bridges and wasted her life on a man who took advantage and ruined everyone else's lives. Important Wonder, 8,369. Take care of yourself, and please don't stress about these internet trolls. They are mean, heartless, soulless humans that have nothing better to do in life than tear people down that are already hurting. Though I'm also a stranger, your story moved me, and I'm so sad that you have to go through this. Please take care of yourself too. Sounds like both kids are doing okay now, but you need to be well too. Best. Story 7. My motherly aunt wants me to give up my unborn baby girl to my godly infertile cousin. Original post, June 18, 2024. I, 24F, am currently 8 months pregnant with a baby girl, and my aunt cousin have been giving me trouble since I have announced the news. My partner and I already adore our girl and have no plans to give her up, but my aunt wants me to give up my child to my cousin, who has been suffering for infertility for the past 5 years. For more context, my aunt has raised my sister and I as a motherly figure after our mother passed away when we were very young. We have been quite close with our aunt cousin throughout our life and have been trying to support my cousin through her struggles with infertility. My aunt is also very religious, being a Mormon who regularly attends church and has a very rigid, close-minded view on morality, values, and living a good life. She believes that a child deserves a strong, foundational religious upbringing with a strong, providing father and a loving, attentive mother. Since my partner is not Christian, and because we both have full-time jobs and careers, she believes that my child will grow up confused and misguided in our household due to our religious differences, lacking a proper sense of identity and adequate care. She says she fears that our child's well-being will not be put first in such an environment, and that our kid could likely go down a dark, immoral path. According to her, my cousin, who works part-time from home, and her husband are way better able to provide my child with a loving home with good values and religion. I have both my aunt and cousin blocked on most forms of communication, and I have moved to a new home, where they do not know the address. My partner and I also got married in a private ceremony, so they won't have control over my medical decisions. Out of the two, my aunt has been more aggressively towards me, and even showed up to my old apartment one day to scream and argue with me about the situation. She, in a fake nice tone, tried to get me to come with her to a cafe near the church to speak with me about the baby, even when I told her there is nothing to be discussed, and that I'm keeping the baby. I spoke with the apartment manager and had to hide until she left after half an hour. My aunt also has her church friends after me. They sometimes regularly send me hostile text message and voicemails. My cousin has been on the quieter side towards me and has been struggling with depression and trauma from her latest pregnancy last year, ending in a stillbirth of her baby girl after preterm labor at 30 weeks. She has been regularly posting on social media and has joined motherhood-related groups. I've heard through gossip that she is trying to get a baby through those groups and has been banned from a considerable amount of them to her dismay. She had been harassing young moms and widows for their babies. My cousin is desperate for a baby to fix her family and is apparently waiting for my name to give birth for my baby girl, who she apparently sees her own late baby in. My aunt and her are apparently sure that I will be overwhelmed with my decision and the responsibilities with motherhood that I will give more to my baby by letting my cousin and her husband adopt her. My aunt says that giving my baby to my cousin shouldn't be as hard as it could be because we are family, and that I could have a baby later on as I am still young and have plans to attend grad school after working for a while. My cousin also apparently wants to get into contact as we had before my pregnancy. I will not be speaking to her again until after I give birth to see where she is then and to prevent further stress during my pregnancy. I have been very supportive of her through her infertility journey and generally liked her more than my aunt growing up. But her behavior and thinking have shocked me and are making me fear for my safety. I am planning a big wedding party for next year since my partner and I privately got married this year, and I am not sure if my cousin aunt would be invited and able to come. I have a lot of family support from both sides right now, apart from those who are close to them and on their side. But I'm not sure if that support will be as strong in a year, and what my relationship with my aunt-cousin will be then. I have skipped some family events that I know they will be at, but I don't want to miss out on those family gatherings and fun forever. I'm not sure how the future will look like with my aunt-cousin after my baby and the issues that arise with that. Any support would be appreciated.
Relevant, comment?
That's your baby and your baby alone. Get law enforcement involved if you have to. Get restraining orders if you have to. If you ever do talk to your aunt-cousin again, remind them how there are plenty of other babies in your area that are waiting to be adopted. Best of luck and congratulations. OP, thanks. Regarding adoption, I don't think my cousin would be a great adoptive mother, so I would rather not encourage her on that. Based on what I know, she only wants a baby girl right now, and the baby has to be like her, aka white and have whiter features, and must not have any issues. She does not want to deal with or involve the birth mother and pretty much wants to act like the adoption never happened. Her mentality tells me she is only adopting for selfish reasons and does not want to make the adoption the beautiful thing it can be for everyone involved. Although I am not giving her my baby, I am hypothetically concerned of how she would treat me and try to alienate me from any relationship with the child if I were in that position. Please, whatever you do, do not allow your aunt or your cousin to be anywhere near your child. Don't allow them to hold your child. Do not ever allow them to babysit your child because your child will disappear. If at all possible in the future, maybe consider moving out of that city. Make sure that you have cameras set up around your house. Even if they don't know where you live now, there's always a chance that they could follow you home from work. Be hyper-vigilant. Congratulations on the soon-to-be birth of your little one. OP. My partner and I have moved out of the city and into a new home recently. My aunt-cousin have become aware of this but don't know the address. I didn't think much of being followed home from work, but since they don't know where I live anymore, they may try something at my workplace. I'll have to talk about this more with my coworker's boss and alert them sternly. OP on the religion and where she stands at with her beliefs? OOP. I was raised Mormon and my aunt has always been pushing the religion and all its components on me and my sister. Now we are both not very religious and do not regularly attend church. I still believe in Jesus, but I am definitely not near what my aunt is and wants me to be in religion. She says she is disappointed with me on that and is using my lack of devotion to say that my baby will be even worse off than me and go down the wrong path if I'm like this with a Mormon upbringing. Update. June 21st, 2024. This will be a small update. We got in contact with the local church leader and talked to them about the situation with my aunt and cousin, who are both active members. We talked to him for a while. He initially dismissed my concerns as personal conflict between family and tried to refer us over to counseling services. We explained to him that my cousin is dealing with trauma from her baby's death and that she is having false hopes about adopting my baby, which would be raised in a good home. We also told him that my aunt is feeding into those hopes and has been harassing me on her behalf, causing disturbance and a lot of stress. He told me he understood my side, and that he knew what my cousin has been going through with her inability to have kids. He said he would contact my aunt and cousin to see what they have to say about the situation. I talked again with him today. He said that my aunt and cousin would like to speak with me and that they were concerned that I stopped communicating with them, especially since I moved away. I explained to him that their behavior regarding my baby influenced me to do those things and pressed him on what they said. He said that my cousin had talked with a church therapist and was looking into adoption to start a family because her IVF treatments were likely not going to produce a child with her condition. I emphasized to him that I was not giving up my baby and that my cousin had been thinking such. He said that understood that and started asking me for personal details on how I was doing now. He was again trying to set up a meeting between us and my aunt-cousin and referring us to services. I told him I was not comfortable with that at the moment, and he told me to at least call my cousin once. He said he will meet with my aunt on Sunday since I was too scared to do on my own. Our call ended after that. I'll comment any update on what he says in the coming days under this post. Edit. I am not satisfied with his response and do not like that he is putting pressure on me with reconnect with my aunt and cousin. He says he understands my concerns, but I think he is being rather dismissive of them and trying to force us to resolve our issues. My partner and I thought it was worth a shot reaching out to him, because he has influence and religious authority over my aunt-cousin. I'll see what he says on the next phone call and see what I can do to make him care more. Edit. To make clear, I didn't give him any personal information and have no plans for any in-person meeting with my aunt and cousin. We are in contact with legal help. We do not live in Utah. Relevant comment? OOP on the church leader not believing her and how he is helping her and her husband. OOP. That may be why he is trying to refer us over to church counseling. He says he will talk to my aunt, and I will just play along and see what they say after that. After this, I am not sure how helpful involving the stake president will be and if I want to pursue that. Tilde. Our church leadership has a reputation on focusing on what benefits them and often pivot to that, even if they initially side with you and try to help. My aunt-cousin are rather wealthy, so their tithe is probably worth enough for him to firmly favor them. 100% a trap. Yikes. Plus, the way the church leader dismissed OP as being too scared was extremely condescending and manipulative. What a scummy way for him to behave. Fuck that guy. OOP. That comment really upset me after I told him everything that was going on and my fears. I'm not just too scared. I fear for the safety and well-being of my family. I fear for the possible escalations, my cousin's aunt's expectations and actions, and more. These fears are real and are very valid given the circumstances. That really bothered me. Why are you even risking it? He will get your address and then pass it on to your aunt. They may try to follow you back home after that meeting to know where you live. Possibly find out other details too, like your hospital address from the church leader, and they can get there with the excuse of checking on you and get your baby. I've heard of real cases where they took the newborn baby to another state from the hospital itself, so it will be harder for the police to track them down. Please don't associate with them any longer, not the church and not your auntie and cousin either. Don't risk your baby being kidnapped. You're the one who will suffer at the end. Trust me, the church won't be able to help you if things go wrong. If it's possible, move somewhere as far as you can for the sake of your baby's safety. OOP. We talked with him over the phone and have no plans right now for any in-person meetings. New update. Disclaimer. OOP has updated after the Baru was posted. So per rules update is included. Update 6/28 in comments. June 28, 2024. Update 6/28. We spoke again with the bishop. He said that there isn't much he can personally do to resolve the situation within his capacity between me and my aunt-cousin other than refer to counseling services. I asked him if he did meet with my aunt, and he said he did. Their conversation was apparently focused on my cousin and helping her heal. He told me my cousin was also grieving the loss of communication with me and my sister, who hasn't been talking much to her anymore. I told him that my cousin was trying to take my baby to replace hers, and that her and my aunt's behavior was threatening the safety and well-being of me and my family. I think he was losing interest in the conversation, so he just told me to do whatever I feel is best for my family, but to consider the grief my cousin has been through and contact family counseling services for further help on this matter. Me and my partner sent him an email afterwards with a copy to our lawyer to close off communication. I decided to unblock my cousin and send her a message. I told her that my partner and I are keeping our baby and that is not up for discussion. I encouraged her to seek proper therapy if she hasn't already done so, and told her that I am not comfortable with her husband, or my aunt being involved in my child's life. She hasn't responded yet. Regardless of what she says, our relationship will not return to as it was before, and she will not be a part of my child's life. Story 8. Am I wrong for siding with my mom when she told my wife she isn't family? Original post, undit. September 15th, 2024. My beautiful wife Zoe and I have been married for a year. I have a 10-year-old sister, Liv, who is a very shy, quiet, well-behaved kid. With her parents or super close family friends, she is sassy, funny, outgoing, but around most adults she is super reserved. Zoe and Liv have an okay relationship, but I certainly wouldn't say they are close. Liv hates the movie character Krampus. When she was 4, she went downstairs on Christmas Eve, and my mom and her friend were watching the movie in the dark living room, and it scared the shit. It's not like she is still super scared of it, but she definitely still hates it. We were recently staying with my family while in between places, just for a month, and Zoe found a Halloween mask that looked similar to Krampus at her friend's house and thought it would be hilarious to prank Liv. I really don't think she had bad intentions. She has a mischievous streak, and it was totally something Liv's dad would do. So Zoe woke her up with the mask, and Liv didn't think it was funny, and basically just wouldn't talk to her. My mom came into our room and very aggressively told Zoe, "If you ever go into my sleeping child's room again, we are going to have a huge problem." Zoe tried to say she was just playing around and she didn't think they would get mad as Liv's dad does stuff like that. My mom said, "He is her fucking dad. You aren't family." Zoe was furious and asked if I was really not going to defend her. I said, "You are 100% my family, but Liv probably doesn't think of you as family, and that is understandable." My mom even clarified that is what she meant. She said she considers her husband family but would never ask us to, and she told Zoe to accept that she isn't Liv's family. Zoe is furious with me for not standing up for her. I feel my mom was mostly right. Liv doesn't view Zoe as family and is more closed off and reserved with her versus her dad, who she is 100% comfortable with and would feel she could get back at. Zoe is my family, but it seems weird to push her on my family. Edit because no one is getting it. Zoe is absolutely my family. Zoe and I are a family, and my mom, her husband, and Liv are their own family. Update, September 15th, 2024, 11 hours later. Well, my last post got a load of attention and was a lot more decisive than I was expecting. I'd like to clarify some things. I do think of Zoe as my family. She is the most important family in my life. Liv is my half-sister, and I don't have a relationship with her dad. My mom's husband, though I know that might scandalize some of you with your views of family. I would never prank Liv because we don't have that relationship, so I was pretty horrified that my wife pranked her. My mom never forced her husband on me, so I stand by not forcing Zoe on Liv. Well, I just wanted to let you all know we are now no contact with my family. So the Krampus prank took place Friday night, and I haven't really been home since due to crazy work hours. I got home and found Zoe hysterical. I've never seen her like that. She was on the verge of a panic attack and couldn't stop crying. My mom's husband came in, and in a really mocking voice said, "It's just a prank, bro," like he was trying to be some cool TikTok kid. While I was gone, my mom told Zoe they were going out to dinner with Liv, so Zoe was home alone, and my mom's husband and some of their pieces of shit friends staged a break-in. They had ski masks and ropes, and obviously Zoe thought she was going to die. Then Liv popped out giggling like crazy, and Zoe realized what was going on. I don't agree with what Zoe did to Liv, but it is nothing compared to this sadistic shit. I actually hit my stepdad, which is crazy because he's a black belt, and I might regret it in the morning, but I've never been so pissed. I told my mom I would never forgive her. She began screaming about, she was in my child's fucking bedroom, she had no right, blah, blah, blah. I am done. We got our shit and went to a motel. Honestly, what sucks is my godfather was involved and I always thought he was a cool dude. But whatever he picked his side, screw them.
Comment?
Vivid Farm 6291. Well, would it have been a prank if the wife pulled out a gun and shot a few of the people breaking in? I see they wanted to get back at the wife from the first prank, but no one seems to actually know what the hell a prank is. Pranks are supposed to be harmless and funny. Fun for everyone involved. These are like hazing. Neat Pen 6522. First, your wife was wrong, and I don't think anyone is disputing that. And really, the only complaint your mom seems to have is that she went in your sister's room, which I agree with. If she had jumped out from behind a door or something, then I would say your wife wasn't wrong. None of that excuses a group of grown men causing a woman to think she is about to be R-ed and possibly killed. That is not a prank. There are so many other actual pranks they could have done if they really felt like they needed to get back at her, but they chose something dark and scummy. The problem your mom has now is she has lost any moral standing she initially had, which is what happens when you stoop lower than the person you're offended by. If she or her idiot husband says anything about you hitting him, you can look them right in the eye and say, "It's just a prank, bro." And then tell them they now have no room to act self-righteous, or as if they have any ground to stand on anymore since they chose to retaliate in the way they did. They got back at your wife in a terrible way, so going along with their childish mindset, they're even with your wife, and now can no longer hold the prank against her. You, however, have every right to protect your wife from people who have just proven that they are willing to go to the extreme to put her in her place. Story 9. I found out my sister slept with my fiancé, and I'm not sorry about what I did after. Original post, Reddit, August 27th, 2024. 30-year-old woman here. I have a sister who's just a year older than me. We've always had such a good relationship, so finding out about this one hurt. She might as well have just stabbed me in my heart. On top of that, I've been with my fiancé since high school, and we've always been with each other through thick and thin. We were going to get married in a few months. I have no idea why on earth they did this to me. What's even worse was that our mom knew, and out of fear of getting involved, my sister apparently begged her not to say a word. She didn't tell me anything. Thankfully, my dad wasn't having it, and he spilled the beans to me. I've never been so angry in my life. Not only did I kick my fiancé out and throw out his stuff, some of it in the trash, but I decided to hurt my sister in another way. Why not do the same for my fiancé? Simple, she's my sister. We've always had a good relationship until she decided to ruin it months before my big day, which I allowed her to be a bridesmaid in. You don't do that to anyone, let alone your sister. Your blood. My sister's big on gardening, so when she lost her dog, she made a garden for him. I knocked on her door. She didn't know that I knew. And of course I played nice. I moved on to what she did with my fiancé, and I slightly damaged her garden. I honestly just crushed a couple flowers. Am I sorry? No. Her excuse sent me over the edge. It just happened isn't a reason. Sleeping with my fiancé just happened like that, I guess. I told her I didn't want her speaking to me anymore, and that I also didn't want our mom to speak to me. My fiancé won't say a word since I threatened to call the police if he ever went near me again. Yeah, I made my sister cry and scream at me, but I genuinely feel like I should be the one crying. She knew how important getting married was to me, and now I can't experience that. Pair that with the fact that I had to hear this from my dad, not my bum excuse of a sister or fiancé. Hell, even my own mother didn't say a word to me. It's like she lets my sister run her. Fuck you, Tia. Fuck you, Logan. If they ever see this, I'd be absolutely delighted. Edit. Since many people keep bringing this up, I'm upset that I lost the relationship I've always put 100% into. I was excited to get married, of course, but then this news came out. It really hurt me. I didn't want to believe it at first. I almost thought my dad was pulling my leg. Later turned out to be true. I swear I have trust issues now. Edit #2. Thanks again for all the suggestions, y'all. It's helping me feel more confident in exposing them. I'm just a bundle of nerves right now because I know shit's gonna hit the fan again. When I do so, I'll try my best to come with an update. I mean, it's the least y'all deserve, haha. Last edit. When I say I decided to hurt her, it's because I kinda ruined something so meaningful to her. I feel like for most people, besides on here, that would be a bit far. That's just how I feel, though. I understand it's not what you guys wanted, LOL. Clearly worked a bit, though, since she thought I was so damn psychotic for that. Like I said, I don't feel sorry about hurting her that way. Edited for the 1000th time because people still can't fucking read even when words are bolded asterisk. Forgive my terrible mood, I definitely plan on exposing them sometime today.
Relevant. Comment?
Commenter, expose them to everyone and ruin them. OP. I've actually debated on doing this after I got done dealing with my sister, but if anything, I can unblock her just to show her what other people in the world think about her trashy ass. Seriously though, I still can't believe she did me like this. Commenter, expose them. They will try and spin it differently and make you look like the bad guy. Tell all his family, your extended family and mutual friends. Tell them that you have cut all contact with them and you wish not to be around them ever again. OOP. So far, his sister was the only one who reached out to me about this. She was in hysterics, asking me WTF happened. She fully supports me in this. Unsure about the rest of the family, but as of now, the only person I can even trust is my father. Probably her too. Commenter, this is horrible. When did this happen? I can't believe your mother. OP. I actually found out over the previous weekend. Under another comment, I wrote how my dad explained it to me. Supposedly, my sister decided to tell my mom. She obviously asked her to keep her lips closed about it. My mom apparently told my dad over the weekend, not right away, and then he told me. The thing is, I have no idea when the hell they even had sex. That wasn't made known to me or my parents, it seems. My sister could have kept this secret for God knows how long until she finally decided to come clean to my mother. For all we know, they could have done it months ago, maybe even several times. My fiancé denied even sleeping with her more than once, but I'm finding it hard to believe him. A small part of me keeps trying to justify my mom's actions, but I can't seem to understand. She clearly didn't care. OOP on everyone knowing about the wedding being cancelled via social media. OP, haha. I did make a post apologizing for canceling the wedding, but I've turned off notifications because I kept getting a flood of messages asking what happened. So far, only his sister and my cousin know. I couldn't bear to even say anything else to other people. At the time, I felt so sick. These comments are giving me ideas, though, and they're very tempting. Update #1. August 28, 2024. Editor's note, OOP made a typo on her update post title. Edit. I found out my sister slept with my fiancé. I'm so tired, I'm sorry, lol. Hey everyone. Seems like my other post has been deleted. Thanks again for the comments and support. I found out quite a bit. To start off, I did expose her and my ex on my story. I unblocked them both to tag them. Shout out to one of the commenters who wrote down what I should say. I saved it and wrote it, but added some other words of my own. My ex actually blocked me after he saw my story. I sent my Reddit post to my sister after. At the time, she didn't see, but I got a call from my ex's mom. She was furious about everything, but she asked me how I was holding up and if I've heard the news. My heart sank a little because I honestly couldn't bear to hear any more bad news. I asked her what she was talking about. She said, "So you haven't?" I said no and asked her to tell me. My sister's pregnant. Apparently Logan told her in an attempt to make her chill out on my sister. I didn't want to hear any more, so I told her I needed to hang up the phone. Thankfully, she accepted because I literally burst into tears 2 seconds later. After 5 minutes of crying, my sister responded to my story and text with the Reddit post link. She was texting me in all caps, begging me to take it down. If I wasn't so upset, I would have laughed a little, but I just sat there watching her blow up my phone. I got even angrier when she said, "I'm coming over and I'm telling Mom that you're spreading my business online." All right, you big baby. Still never responded, though. I felt frozen. 30 minutes later, she's trying to break my door down, so I opened it in a fit of rage and I started screaming all kinds of shit at her. She kept screaming at me to take it down, and I told her that's going to stay up for as long as I want it to. She kept telling me she didn't deserve online hate, and she even tried telling me that she's always been there for me through everything, and that she would have forgiven me if it was the other way around. That's when I punched her. A small part of me felt guilty. I'm not the fighting type, and that was probably evident in my last post, haha. But she retaliated by saying, "It's not my fault Logan was tired of you," and that's when I told her that I hope she ends up like her dog, and that she deserves every bit of hate she's getting for ruining my relationship. I even apologized for not ruining her entire garden and her stupid face at first. I know I'm wrong for saying this, but the entire time, she was playing the victim. She called me evil and told me to rot in hell, kept saying I was punishing her over a mistake. I said, "You have no idea what you've put me through, and I know you would have done the same thing if you were the victim." She kept crying and insulting me because all she's ever done was support me through everything, and I had the nerve to punch her in the face and allow strangers to bash her on the internet. I told her she deserved it, and I don't want her talking to me ever again, and if she comes near me, I'm calling the police. She kept saying I was being extremely unfair, and that she said she was sorry in her texts, but I wasn't having it. I told her to tell Mom I'm not talking to her again either. She asked me if I was really going to cut her off like that, and I just wished her good luck with her unwanted child and told her to go home. That was the last time she walked off my porch. Anyway, I had to clean up my favorite vase, but it doesn't even matter. At least they're out of my life. However, it's weird how sad I feel now. It's for my own good, but damn, I'll never experience the bond we had again. On the bright side, seems like I've dodged 2 bullets. Thanks again, though, everyone. Maybe I do need therapy. The original post is now on my profile for those who want to see it. Also, fuck them both once again. Last edit to say that my dad called not too long ago asking me to take every post down because, according to my mother, my bitch sister is bawling her eyes out over mean people on the internet, as if I'm taking anything down. My dad's pissed about her pregnancy, but my mom continues to defend her by saying we need to chill out on her a little bit. This is why I'm not talking to her. Thanks again, though, everyone. I'm exhausted, and I need to worry about other things. Last update, August 31st, 2024. I've officially decided to go LC with my dad today. Surprisingly, he wasn't that upset about it. However, he's still on team take down the posts, and that's why I made my decision. My mom wants nothing to do with me because if I wasn't going to respect the family, there's no point in trying to get to you. Wow, it's almost like that's what I wanted. My cousin and my ex's sister have been supporting me. Apparently, my sister has had meltdown after meltdown because more people are slowly finding out about the affair not only in person, but on the internet. She actually got into it with my cousin online, and according to my cousin, my sister keeps asking her to tell me to take down the posts because she's sorry, and she felt pressured into doing what she did. Last I even heard about my ex was from his sister. She told me that they did speak, and although he's not ready for a child, he doesn't feel comfortable leaving my pregnant sister on her own. He also wants me to stop what I'm doing, but, oh well, they're made for each other. Anyway, I've surprisingly been feeling a bit better thanks to my cousin and my new sister, as I like to call my ex's sister now, haha. I've actually gotten some good sleep. Still considering therapy, too. A very tiny part of me feels pretty bad for exposing my sister and ex, and I'll always miss the relationship I've had with them, even despite my last encounter with my sister. But they've hurt me, and it's what they deserve. If they're not taking it well, that's their problem. Thanks, everyone, once again. Relevant comment? OP on how other people are reacting to the affair. OP. Speaking of her friends, I actually have no idea what they think about this, but I can assume they found out, of course. My sister is not taking this well, so I'm assuming they're pestering her with questions too. I have said this. My cousin has said this, and my ex's sister has also said this. That she can't be upset for the truth being exposed. She doesn't see past her delusion. She's clearly more worried about her reputation than my feelings. I really don't know her anymore.